Sales numbers are in for the first quarter of the year in America. Obviously, Rivian down, Tesla down, but someone else is down pretty badly as well. And this company can't afford to be down because it's bleeding money. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. I'm Sam Evans. You're watching the Electric Viking. Dodge crashed 50%. In fact, to be exact, 49.6% after dropping its gas-powered muscle cars. And these sales figures show you that really Stellantis is in trouble. They have fired their CEO as a result of these devastating sales performance, and that hasn't fixed the company so far. In the USA, Stellantis deliveries dropped to 293,000, which was a 12% decline versus Q1 last year. But in Canada, it's even worse. They're down by nearly 20%. What went wrong? What is the brand doing? What is it going to try and do to change? Well, in America, Dodge took the biggest hit. Brand-wide sales fell to 21,731, down a staggering 49%. Most of that plunge comes from the massive hole left by the departure of the Charger and the Challenger. Combined, only 2,000 of those legacy muscle cars actually sold in the first quarter, compared to 20,000 in the same period last year. The Dodge Charger Daytona EV, well, not many of them have been sold. Only 1,947, in spite of the fact that it is actually a pretty damn impressive electric car. Jeep, well, Jeep's in trouble as well. The full-size Jeep Wagoneer was down 60%, and in the even pricier Grand Wagoneer fell by a staggering 48%. The Wrangler, it even fell a little bit as well. Jeep delivered 140,000 vehicles, which was a 10% drop year over year. Ram is struggling. Their sales were down a further 2% after a pretty bad 2024, partly because of a perception that the quality has been slipping at the company. Chrysler, they were more or less flat. Their sales were basically the same as last year, but they delivered very few vehicles at only 35,000 for the entire 3 months. A lot of people think Chrysler should be taken away from Stellantis and given to someone who's actually going to help the company have some cars to sell. Now, if you look at the other brands, Alfa Romeo, they fell by 15% to selling only about 600 vehicles a month, almost nothing. But one brand did well. Fiat sold 522 cars, which was an increase of 240%. But the truth is that, Fiat is almost a dead brand in America with only about 150 sales every month. In Canada, the same problem is, it's probably, I'd say possibly even worse. Dodge was down 5%, but Jeep fell by a staggering 25%, and Ram was down by 30%. So as you can see, Stellantis is really, really struggling. Their sales last year were down, profits were down, and as a result, the company it's in a lot of trouble. It's had to fire its CEO. Its dealers have been publicly complaining that they are in huge trouble. And I don't know what the company's going to do from here, guys. What are your thoughts? How do you see this all playing out? Let me know what you think in the comments. Electric car sales in China have just risen by a staggering 82%, which is a new record, obviously. Volkswagen Group, their EV sales have fallen at the same exact time by more than 50%. This is the beginning of the end for legacy auto. And it's the beginning of something remarkable for the planet. Electric car sales in China this year have gone absolutely ballistic, guys. Looking at these numbers, I'm trying to think to myself, does this mean that by the end of this year, internal combustion could be dead in China already? It's happening that fast that actually it is possible. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. Great to have you with us. I'm Sam Evans. You're watching the Electric Viking. Electric car sales in February in China grew by a staggering 82% growth versus February of last year. What this means is that preliminary data suggests around 60% of all cars sold in February were electric, meaning either plug-in hybrid or fully electric, or hydrogen powered, but no one buys hydrogen cars in China because they're smarter than that over there. The estimated sales for NEVs, or new electric vehicles, was 840,000 in February, which is traditionally the worst month of the year for car sales in the country. Now, looking at this graph here, you can see cnfpost.com, you can see here, every time it dips, it's February. In fact, every time it dips, it's January and February. But as you can see, January and February dipped a hell of a lot less than January and February of last year. So incredible numbers here. What this means is that if you include January in the numbers, so far this year, electric car sales have grown in China by 50% versus last year. Now, even if EVs don't take 100% of the market share in China this year, they almost certainly will next year, considering this current trajectory, this current growth rate, which is just truly staggering. It shows you that people in China are saying, you know what, why the hell would you buy an internal combustion engine car, purely internal combustion, when you don't have to? For the same price, you can get something much better, much more fuel efficient, potentially something that's much cleaner to run, and something that's much, much better to drive as well. So which car makers did really well? Well, one, BYD. They delivered 318,000 vehicles worldwide. And their growth outside of China was staggering. In fact, it grew by 177%, closer to 180. So anyway, 177% growth from BYD in terms of their global sales outside of China, showing you that BYD are really coming. BYD also announced they're building a third factory in Europe. In addition to that, Geely Auto did incredibly well. They sold just under 100,000 cars in February. Geely are growing at an incredibly fast pace. And in fact, the best-selling electric car this year in China is actually a Geely electric car. It's a small Geely electric hatchback. Incredibly good value. And people are just loving this car and they're buying it en masse. SAIC, General Motors, and Wuling, their tri-venture. So that's a venture where each of them own 33% of the company. They sold 57,000 cars. Chery sold 44,400. Chang'an sold 38,000. Tesla, 30,700. XPeng was next with 30,400. As you can see here, XPeng has actually caught up to Tesla. So XPeng sales versus last year, XPeng sales have grown more than 300% versus the same month last year. So XPeng's growth is just crazy. I don't think anyone predicted this would have happened. XPeng have broken their own sales records for, I believe, 7 months in a row now, which is amazing. XPeng were followed by Li Auto, who they leapfrogged. Li Auto had 26,000 sales. Leap Motor was next. You can buy Leap Motor vehicles here in Australia as well as XPeng. They sold 25,000. GAC Aon, they're coming as well. They're going to be a global car company selling electric cars in many countries around the world. 21,000 from GAC. Xiaomi, over 20,000. They don't report exact numbers, but we know it was over 20,000. Dongfeng, about 20,000 as well. Great Wall Motors, 15,000. Aito, 15,000. NIO, 13,000. Pretty disappointing month from NIO. GAC Honda, 12,700. Now, as you can see, all these car companies who are the best selling the most EVs and plug-in hybrids in China, none of them are legacy automakers, unless you count General Motors' tri-venture with SAIC and Wuling, where they own 33% of the company. None of these are. I mean, look at this, guys. Of the top 15, none of them are legacy automakers except for GM's 33% ownership of that venture. The other 14, none of them are legacy. There's Tesla, there's BYD, there's XPeng. And these car companies are kicking out.